Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. Um, Good day, everyone. Welcome to today's class, social computing class. I believe everybody is okay, everybody is well, everybody is good. Can I hear, please, the voice of someone to know that we are all active in the class? Can I hear the voice of someone to know that we are in the class? Good day, everyone.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you. Okay. We are going to start the class today. Today's class, we are going to be looking into social computing and online toxicity. Can everyone see what I'm sharing?
Yes, Christopher, we can.
Oh, okay. Thank you. So, social computing and online toxicity. My name is Christopher Falade, a PhD student. Now, let's go to the second slide, please. Let's look into this before we move into. I just want to know. Maybe I want to know our level of understanding or level of awareness about online toxicity. So, icebreaker. Okay, look at this. If you could remove 1% of users to make the platform safer, what I'm trying to say is that if you have the ability, like let's say you are the chief moderator or chief administrator of Twitter, X, or any other platform, social media platforms, and you just have to remove 1% of users from the platform because of widespread of toxic behavior of the users. Now, who will you remove? A, influencers. As we know, influencers can be good influencer and it can also be bad influencers. It depends on their behavior. And the second one, trust. You know, trust are people that deliberately provoke other users in order to disrupt the conversations. So we have C, 8 communities. You know, communities are not the same thing as the individuals. They are a group of people that are internally densely connected, and they are not globally related. They are not connected. The way they connected, they are internally connected than connection with the outside users. So is it the 8 communities? Is it the both? I believe everyone knows both. Is it the coordinated toxic clusters? Which one will you remove if you have the ability to save a platform because of toxicity and you have just 1% to remove? Which one? Can somebody just speak for us as we move on?
It's a harder question. I think it's between hate communities and coordinated toxic clusters, but if I had to guess, I would probably say hate communities. That's just me.
So, okay, that's great. Can you give us the reason? Because that's a very good option. But can you justify why? Because we are in the world of science. You need to justify why. Can you justify
Yeah,
it?
yeah, I could try. Um, so I narrowed it down because I thought influencers, trolls, and bots, those are just pretty much everyday people. If they do influence bad things, they influence bad things. Like they do have the chance of getting knocked out. But trolls, they're just trolls. They're not really there to actually get rid of you. Bots and those are obviously a whole different problem. But I think hate communities, are there not to completely, they're not there to make you happy whatsoever. They're there to literally make you as upset as possible. And I think that's the most toxic thing you can do. So that's my humble opinion.
Yeah, thank you very much. Very intelligent. Is there another person? Because I want the class to be kind of interactive. We are not going to spend too much time. I will do my best. I will try my best. Is there any other option? Well, that's a very good option. Is there another person before we move on? Okay, so if nobody else is talking, thank you very much for that. 8 communities, because let's say like a Twitter, where you have millions of users in the United States of America, just limit it to United States of America, millions of users. I have data that I have used like 7 point something million users just for, and that is just a token out of millions. Okay, so and you needed to remove 1% of the users in order to make sure that the toxic behavior on that platform does not make the entire platform to be shut down by the government. So now he said 8 communities, and that is a very good point. But what determines the results, what determines who to remove, that is a research. That is a study. You cannot just say, okay, I want to remove the influencers, because sometimes influencers too can affect the entire platform negatively. But I did a study which was submitted to HESONAM 2025 and accepted and presented in Canada by Professor Nitin Nagawa. I discovered that coordinated toxic clusters, coordinated toxic people spread toxicity more than any other forms of people on the social media. We used epidemiological modules, we used Monte Carlo, statistical relational modules, and a lot of tools were used and confirmed. We used QuestD, and eventually we discovered that the toxic structures spread toxicity faster and wider than 8 communities, than toxic individuals. So thank you for that. But what determines answer is based on research, and that's what we do at Cosmos Research Center. We do research a lot. Okay, so let's move on. Now, I believe that you guys have done a lot of things on social computing, because that is the name given to this course, social computing. I did it when I was still doing coursework for my PhD. So I don't need to spend so much time there, but we know what social means and what computing means. So they are trying to integrate social science, psychology's theories into computation, into computing. I know that we involve a lot of algorithms and AI, artificial intelligence. So as we move on to the next slide. Now, the key concepts in social computing, as I've said earlier, it involves algorithms. Yeah, it involves networking, where user A posts a comment and user B replies to the comment, and user C replies directly to user A or indirectly to user A by replying to user B. So it involves networking, interaction among the users. Okay, so that is about that. And as I said, you cannot do without artificial intelligence when it comes to social computing. So how does this now relate to online toxicity? How does it relate? You see, it is very simple. Social computing involves people, using the computational tools. Okay. Now, online toxicity to me is basically making others to be provoked, making other users to be provoked, and then they get to a level where they just leave the platform. Usaid sends a message that men are ugly, and Usabi now says, this is an example, please. And Usabi now says, what kind of stuff is this? And the thing becomes propagated in the entire platforms K. So now, but everything still goes into social computing, social interaction involving internet, involving computational tools, computational devices like your phone, your laptop, and all like that. So in my own definition, online toxicity is just toxic behaviors, harmful digital behaviors that can lead to psychological or societal harm. We are going to see different forms of online toxicity as we go on. But I don't know if anybody has another in your own understanding, because online toxicity is not a new thing. It's not a new thing. People that are not even into tech, they know about online toxicity. So I don't know if anybody in the class wants to tell us what you understand by the word online toxicity, as I've said mine, based on my research. Is there anyone? Or we should go on? Okay, so let us go on, but take it in mind that online toxicity is all those harmful or toxic digital behavior that can provoke a user to just leave the platform. The person will just be frustrated and depart from the platform, and this can lead to shortage by the platform owners, because people will subscribe, and government may ban the entire platform if care is not taken. So that's why it is very serious. Now let us look into we have many forms, several forms of online toxicity. We look at harmful language, harmful language, insults, harassment. We have hate speech. People have done a lot of studies on hate speech. If you go to Google search, just type hate speech papers, hate speech journals, hate speech blogs, hate speech magazine. You will see a lot of papers. Why? Because hate speech is no more on face-to-face. People now hide on the social media to spread their hate intentions, their hatred or hate intentions. So apart from that, we can also look, when we're talking about online toxicity, we also look into coordinated toxic behavior And that is my recent studies have been on coordinated toxic behavior, focal toxic structures, and I have papers accepted and journals are still working on, submitted and all like that. So coordinated toxic behavior is very, it has the greater influence than just one person is spending hate speech. Okay, because when we're talking about coordinated toxic behavior, like most of the real life mass unrest, most of the real life riots started from the social media. But not just one person, it will be a group of people. Because it will be a group of people with a toxic mentality, toxic intent, toxic informations, like misinformation. And then before we know, it will migrate to the real life riots. And if it's not taken care of, we are going to see examples I put on the slides that led to the death of masses in a particular country. So we have misinformation and disinformation. We have identity-based attacks. On social media, we have people that they just hate another sex. They believe that this world should only be meant for their own sex. So, and there are people that ethnicity, religion, people believe they on social media, they will start attacking other religion, other race, in terms of any form. They may say people that are short are the ones shorting the economic flow or affecting the economy of a country. So it also another form of online toxicity is the psychological harm, and that is, I read a paper from a particular medical doctor. He was trying to compare, he tried to look into relationship among, or let me say relationship between online toxicity and mental health. You know, we have different forms of mental health problems. We have different forms of them. If you Google, just search mental health, you will see a lot different forms of mental health. So the guy did a study, and wow, he discovered that people with mental health problems, have similar way of behaving with people on the social media that propagates toxic comments, toxic conversations, toxic interactions. And I said, wow. But he said, this is not causal effect. He said it's not causal. It's not that he was trying to say that mental health leads to online toxic behavior, but it was just, it is just associativity, that is association between mental health and online toxic behavior. So it is not so that people will not start attacking people with mental health. No. Okay. So that is that. You know, if I want to look into toxicity beyond wars, toxicity has gone beyond online toxicity, has gone beyond words. That is text message. It is now at multimodal level. It's not just bad words. Now you see images, videos, you know, a lot of forms of online. Sometimes I think I read the news. It's been a long time now, probably like a year or less, that somebody watched a short video And after watching the short video, the person went to commit suicide. Just looking into a short video. I don't know the kind of short video, but that short video is a toxic video, because if it is not a toxic video, the person will not go to commit suicide. It's not a happiness triggering video. It is sadness triggering video. Just a short video, maybe like 1 minute or 2 minutes or once of 20 or 30 seconds, and led to suicide stuff. You can see that online, and that is also part of online toxicity, because it is not physical, it is virtual, it is online. So we have, and we also have multi-layered, that is individual spreading toxicity, group of people, community, structure at micro level, meso level, macro level, and so much like that. So, and we have it in structural, which if you want to carry a study on structural toxicity, you need to create network graph. You create network graph, you can get Gephi to analyze the network graph, or you can just use the Python, particular Python script to analyze the graph, and then you feed the graph into any machine learning stuff or modules to analyze the structure. So all like that. And there's something we call collective actions, collective toxic actions. So let's go to the next slide. Why online toxicity matters. Why? It matters because it harms individual. As I said, somebody just watched a short video and then committed suicide. A highly potential, I don't know, but the person may be highly potential, but that 30 seconds or 1 minute video affected him or her. So it destabilizes society. You know, like EndSARS, there was what we call EndSARS in Nigeria. I think it happened maybe like if it's not like maybe like 3-4 years ago. EndSARS, it was between the youth of that country and the police officers of that country. So, but it started from social media when people were talking and then migrated. So people can be spreading misinformation through social media, and then before you know, it migrates to the real life scenario, and then it affects, and many people died in that EndSARS. You can just check it on Google to know what I'm talking about. So, and so many of them, because we have to consider time. So it also affects, you know, tech companies are spending millions of dollars to control their platforms, because if care is not taken, governments can bring down the platform if it's leading to the death of innocent people. So they have to moderate their platforms with, as in they spend a lot on the staffs. You know, I think I read something about Facebook. Facebook hired, I think we should go to the next slide. Now look at the, this is one of the examples. I don't know if it is clearer because I just saw it, but this is one of the toxic comments. This is one of the toxic comments. I saw it on the, I just searched for it on Google, and I saw this. A lot of examples of toxic, but this is one of the toxic comments from a particular platform. So you can see what they're talking about. You can see, of course, the fucking wood, being that they don't much care for anything else in a guy. the person that replied now said, "Hey, no nigga." The next person said, "Woman have low self-esteem and low IQs." You can see all this kind of bad statement from somebody. He said, "Woman have low self-esteem and low IQs." I can't continue reading it, so we just need to leave it. But that is one of the toxic comments that people, and that's why we need to analyze it. We need to mitigate online toxicity. Now, EndSARS protest. Look at the EndSARS. You can see people. You can see them. This is a particular country, EndSARS. You know, people will just be talking on the social media. They will start talking on the social media, and before you know, it migrates to the real life, like play on social media. And this EndSARS, if you try to go and read it, it led to the death of many young potential fellows of that country. Up to now, the families are still grieving, are still remembering. Okay, that is one of the examples, one of the real life scenarios that online toxicity, if not mitigated, it can lead to that kind of EndSARS. We hear the case of the one at the Capitol and all different countries, different places. So I saw this message from Facebook. Facebook, Facebook, I saw this message. Facebook agrees, Meta agrees to 2.25 million settlements because of the this online toxicity on the Facebook platform. You can see how serious it is. And look at this one too. I'm trying to make the class more real, not just theoretical talking. That's why I have come up with most of these real life scenarios. Look at this one, broader organizational impacts of online toxicity. The case of Meta. You know, Meta, I think I was in a particular state in this country. I went to present one of our papers at AIMSIS, American Institute, AIMSIS. So, and I got the information from Professor Nitagawa, and I went to check it, and I said, wow, it is real. Facebook hired 3,000 more workers to monitor content amid surge of violence videos. So they have to go and hire more people. What will they be doing? They will be manually checking. They give them the access to be able to check. So any message that is toxic, they flag it. They flag it, or they just remove it before other users will be having access to it. So and we look into, so now because of this, there's what we call moderation of content. But there are challenges. There are challenges because billions, they are spending billions to do this, and even the moderators, they experience trauma and many form of stuffs. So let's go to toxicity quickly. So now let's look into the network perspective of toxicity. When we're talking about toxicity now, it spreads. Online toxicity propagates. That is, it moves from user A to user B to user C to user Z. It moves just like COVID. You can just imagine the way COVID was moving from state to state, from country to countries. That is the way online toxicity moves. Somebody can just send a message from Ghana, and somebody in the US will see the message, and the person in the US will be affected. You can see how powerful online toxicity is. Okay, so it spreads through connections, not isolated individuals, and it also involves the users, and that's what we call nodes in social computing. We call nodes users. Please, a minute, please, a minute. Yeah, so now, so on social computing, that is the relationship between social computing and online toxicity. We have users, we call users nodes, because you cannot just bring up the name of a particular user. You can't just bring out the picture of a particular user. You are breaching the privacy of the user. So users are nodes. That is social computing term. Edges are the interactions. But in toxicity analysis, we try to look into that interaction, that is the content of that user comment. We used different modules, different AI tools to now quantify the content of a user A in the terms of toxicity. If it is not toxic, maybe the person just sends a message, how are you? The toxicity score will be 0, not toxic. But if the person now sends a message that provokes another person, the toxicity score can be between 0.1 to 1.0. And that's why we have different modules, different AI tools to quantify the toxicity score or toxicity level of a user's interactive messages on the social media. Okay, and when we now quantify it, let's say the message of a user A, the toxicity score is 0.5. Between 0.5 and 1, that is toxic. But less than 0.5, it is toxic, but not so much. But when it is 0, it is not toxic. Even 0.1 is toxic, but the level of toxicity is mild. It's still manageable. But if not controlled, it can migrate to, it can influence others for high toxicity. So let's take note of that we have different modules to quantify toxicity. Now, we know the natural language processing, NLP. We know that is the language, that is the foundation. NLP, natural language processing, is the foundation for language AI. Let me put it like that. It is not the same thing as large language module. Large language module, LLM, like ChatGPT, like Claude AI, like all of them there. So it's not the same thing. So we use, but you can also use large language module to quantify the toxicity of a user's comment. You can also use it. You can also use it. So now, but what I normally use Detoxify module, and most of my colleagues, ex-colleagues and current colleagues, use Detoxify module. It's a transformer-based toxicity module. It is so powerful. Even if the toxicity score of a user's comment is 0.01567, Detoxify module, a transformer-based module, will detect it and we put it there. It is so powerful. and it is accepted. If you want to do any study on toxicity, it is accepted because many papers, journals have implemented it to quantify toxicity, to quantify users' comments toxicity and accepted. So you can use it. It is very easy. It's just you can get a Python script of Detoxify and then feed in your data, and then the scores will be displayed. So it's a deep learning module. You know, it has been used on Wikipedia on different. It has been trained on very large data, and so the output is valid. It's valid. Now, so when you apply Detoxify module on social media users messages or conversations, it will come up like this. You will see toxic, severe, toxic, obscene, threat, insult, identity, hate. So it will give you the scores for each of them. So now you can now do the aggregates of them to determine the toxicity score, or you can just focus on the one that matters to you, maybe identity, hate, or threat, or insult, and then you continue your analysis. Before I move to the next slide, I don't know if anybody has a question to ask because we are getting to the end of the class. I don't know if anybody has any question or comment to make. Okay, yeah, thank you, Bishwa. Thank you. Okay, Richard. Yeah, great, thank you. Okay, so now this is another perspective API. You know, it also works to analyze real-time conversations, and this is you know, it is incorporated to the machine learning, and you know, it has been used widely by platforms and researchers. It will give you 0 and 1. It will not be like Detoxify. Basically, Detoxify will give you the continuous variables: 0.1, 0.01, 0.02, 0.35, 0.7, 0.78. Detoxify module will give you the continuous variable. And there are modules that will give you just 0 and 1. Toxic, not toxic, binary classification. And that's what machine learning does. Machine learning is an expert in that. Just give you 0 or not 0. Okay, so that is that. So now, why can't we just limit the detection to natural language processing? Why? Because when we do that, toxicity goes beyond that text message, that conversation. It goes beyond that. It goes to the realm of interaction. There's something we call local interaction and global interaction. Local interaction, we have micro interaction, we have meso interaction, we have macro. I must not go too deep into stuff, but interaction is wide. So natural language processing, as I told you guys, it is just the foundation for language artificial intelligence, and large language modules uses natural language processing for its operation. So it is not enough. It's not enough. It cannot detect coordinated toxic groups. It cannot detect coordinated toxic groups. No, it will not do that. Now, if you look at this now, this is the structure of toxicity. Now, look at this structure. We use Tulip. There's something we call Tulip, just like Power BI and the other visualization tools. I believe, I don't know if you guys have been taught visualization. I attended a visualization class and it was very good. because instead of reading and reading things, a particular image can tell you 1,000 pages of conversations. Just one image will tell you so many things that before you can grab the entire intent of the writer. But one image will tell you. That is the power of. And if you want to work in a particular company that uses data, you must know how to visualize. So we used Tulip for this. So what does it mean? This is just the symbol of it's like a tree. You know, the normal biological tree, you know, it grows from the root and going, you know, you have the root like that. So and it started from down and goes upward. But the online conversation starts from the top and grows downward. Because if you look at this point here, this point up here is the root message, is the node, the primary node. So it has many connections. People are replying. So all the second stage here, if you start from the top, that is one message. So the second stage, the second step going downward is the replies to this one message. That means this one message is highly influential to have these multiple repliers or reply messages. But now when we analyzed the replies, the one with the blue color is non-toxic. The one with the orange, the lines with the orange color is toxic. But if you look at it going downward, you can see that toxic messages continues. It continues downward. And most of the non-toxic remains. If you look at it, the orange lines keeps going and going and going. So toxic branches propagate further than neutral brands. So it continues and continues, you know, it continues. People, that is why online toxicity research can never end, because online toxicity involves human behavior, and nobody can stop human behavior. So because of that, it's going to continue. It's a good area to do research. It's a good area to do research. Look at another one too. This is another structure. This one too now is talking about the toxic and not toxic branches. You can see the orange color, the orange lines are the toxic. You can see it continues when the blue lines, non-toxic, are stopped. The one circled, that is the structure, toxic structures. You can see. So now look at this structure. This is what we call, if you look at this, now this is what we call influential toxic individuals. You can see one person, we have several followers, several reply messages. And so that kind of person, if it's a bad person, it's going to influence a lot of people to be bad. So look at this also. This is focus structure. Now we have what we call focus structures at Cosmo Research Center. We have FSA. It's a particular module that we normally use on graph networks, and then it will give us focus structures for further analysis. But this one now does not involve weights. We did not quantify the toxicities. We did not quantify the users' conversations here. So this is focus structure. But the next one will show us what we call focal toxic structures. You can see this one. Each of them is focal toxic structures. They are structures. They are not community. They are structure because they are connected beyond their structure. Unlike community that is just majorly within the community, but focal toxic structures have the ability to spread toxicity to different countries, different people outside their structure, and that is why it is very dangerous. So okay, so I will leave this one. So, but basically, let me just go straight to this. This is what we call weighted focal structure analysis at Cosmos. I'm the one that was able to come up with this WFSA, and it was accepted at ESONAM 2025. Now they ask us to extend it to journal. So this is the module. What does it do? WFSA is the weighted fashion of focal structure FSA. So it will calculate degree centrality of people. You know, it will. But what it does, it allows the quantification. That is, it works with it works with the level of toxicity of each users. It's not just that is if user A replies, if user B replies to user A's post, then the WFSA, you have to use detoxify module or any other module to quantify the level of toxicity of that interaction, of that text message by user B to user A or user A to user B. And then you feed it into the graph, and the graph in GEXF file will be fed into WFSA module. And WFSA now work at the micro level, macro level to extract the focal toxic structures, like the one this is the products. This is one of the outputs of WFSA. To come out, it will quantify the interactions into continuous variables. So you will have, your graph will have been, you will have used detoxify module to quantify the user's conversations into toxicity in continuous variables. Then the graph now has a column that is called toxicity score. Then that will be fed into the WFSA. So that is that. So that is the module that we normally use. So, but now we use that WFSA to get focal toxic structures. That is, structures, they are not just structure, they are influential. They are influential, toxic influential structures. They are not just structures. They are not for good. They are for spreading misinformation, hate speech, and all the rest. But they are not individual. They are in structures. So that's what they do. But you can still use epidemic modules to analyze toxicity. I don't know if you guys have heard about epidemic modules, because as I said, toxicity, online toxicity is like COVID. It's like cholera that spreads from person to person. So because of that, we now try to see maybe we can use that epidemic. You know, epidemic is talking about disease on people. Demic, that is disease on people. Epidemic, disease on people modules. So we now use that, since toxicity is like disease on people. Then we use, and we have different forms of these epidemic modules. You can search online. We have SIR, we have CEIR, we have CEIZ, and all of them. You can read further. So as we end the class now, so open research questions. So please try to read on epidemic module, because if you don't have access to WFSA, you can still use epidemic module to analyze online toxicity. You can also use large language module to analyze toxicity, and different and read papers to know how to analyze, how to carry out a study. So this is open research question. How do we detect coordinated toxic groups in real time? How to match multimodal toxicity, that is text message plus image and video? How can platform intervene ethically? I have a study now that got accepted. I did intervention. It was a real intervention. So okay, so let me just go straight to the final. This is the final one, and this is the summary of what we have been talking about online toxicity. So look at the key takeaway. We have a lot of information on online toxicity. Time will not allow us to discuss them, but if you have personal interest, you can consult us, and then or you just consult Professor Nitin Nagawa. If you have interest in online toxicity, consult Professor Nitin Nagawa, the professor for this class. So, okay, in summary, toxicity is both linguistic and structural. Linguistic, that's why you need natural language processing. You need large language. You need detoxify that uses it is transformer based, and it is also structural. It is structured. It is structured. It's not just user A, user B replies to user A. It is a structure sometimes. So we have learned that groups drive more harm than individuals. Toxic structures drive more harm than individuals. And that's why we have come up with WFSA, weighted focus structure analysis. It is an algorithm, or you can call it a module or a framework. In anyhow you can explain it. So we have it. We have the codes. We have the code or the scripts. I have used it, and I still used it probably last week to generate focal toxic structure for a particular journal. So all these are just to mitigate toxicity. So social computing is essential for understanding digital harm. So finally, that is why the title is Social Computing and Online Toxicity. Social computing is very essential for understanding digital harm, that is online toxicity. So thank you so much. This is the research opportunities at Cosmos. I don't know if we have people here having interest. Okay, having interest. We thank our founders, and thank you very much for your time. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your time. Is there any comment or question, please? Okay, I have a question here. Please, if you have a question, you can ask, or you have a comment. But I think Vishwa sent a message with the number of focus structure generated by FSA and WFSA differ. Yes, it must be differ, because WFSA is a weighted version of FSA. Cannot work on weighted data, because once you have quantified, once you have a graph in GXF file, and that graph contains continuous variables representing the comment of the users for toxicity, then FSA will never be able to. I have tried it. It didn't work. So, but when we now created the WFSA, it works. So it will not even work. They are not the same thing. So is there any question again as we end the class? Okay, if the hedges are only considered, then I think FSC and everything we have the same number. No. The problem, as I've said, is just that FSA refused. I used it like a year ago for my study when I was trying to, most of the studies, most of the studies on toxicity, they use binary classification, toxic and not toxic, 1 and 0, and that is the default. If you place FSA on the default, that is 0 and 1 as the weight of the user's conversation, then FSA will work. But that is not what we want the severity. The severity. If somebody is having sickness in the hospital, they will check in. What is the level of severity? If somebody is having COVID, if the virus is not much in his bloodstream, then the person will not be able to spread to COVID to neighbor. But if the COVID virus inside the blood of that person is high, then the person, they will quantify, they will put the person to quarantine. They will quarantine the person because it can spread it. So that is why we said, no, we cannot continue with binary classification of toxicity 0 and 1. We said, let us look at the severity of the toxicity, 0.1, 0.2, 0.33, 0.11. The module is so powerful that it will not, even if it is 0.03333, it will put it there and run it off. But FSA cannot work on that continuous variables. It can only work on 0 and 1 default. So WFSA now works on that. So they are not the same thing. Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. If there's no question and there's no comments, I think I really appreciate you guys for your time. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, my fellow.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. See you guys. Yeah.
Thank you, Christopher. Do you guys have any other question regarding the assignment? Okay, guys, I think nobody said yes, so we will go ahead and end the class. If you guys have any question or concern regarding your assignment, please go ahead and email us. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you, Christopher.
Bye. Thank you.